Hello, welcome to my channel. I am Charles, better known as the round mountain Zepbound or MZ. Before I get into my update for my GLP-1 journey, I thought I was going to have a post-radiation treatment update for this week. I had my first post-radiation treatment follow-up appointment with my urologist on Monday, June 23rd. Unfortunately, there was a ball that was dropped in the handoff from the oncologist's office back to the urologist's office. So the appointment did not go as planned. The oncologist's office was supposed to send me to do blood work ahead of my follow-up appointment, and they didn't do that. That was supposed to give the urologist some lab work to go over to check where my PSA levels were post-treatment. However, he did ask me how the treatment went, what side effects I had experienced or might be experiencing currently. So I took the opportunity to talk to him about my two previous lab reports I had gotten related to my complete blood counts. Now, if you remember, I got a report back in April that my absolute lymphocytes had dropped down significantly. My previous lab showed this number at 1,800. This report in April showed them at 676, so a significant drop. The reference range from the lab says this number should be between 850 and 3,900. Most Google searches say that the number should be between 1,000 and 4,800 for adults. I know there can be differences in the reference ranges depending on which lab is doing the testing. So regardless, I am still well below the range. At the time, I asked the oncologist if the radiation treatment could be the source of the drop, and she was adamant that it wouldn't. She stated this is because the radiation is targeted directly into the prostate, and because of this targeted nature, it would not impact bone marrow. And when I got to my primary, who was the one that ordered the lab work, her belief was that the radiation was the culprit. So she ordered another CBC to be done during the first week of June. So I went in June, more than a month after my last radiation treatment, and the results did show improvement. Now they're at 777, still below the lab's reference range and still well below the 1,000 most resources say that it should be at for an adult. This new test now showed that my white blood count was also below the level that it should be at. The report showed 3.5, and it should be at 3.8 or 4.0 at the lowest, depending on which lab you're working with. My primary was satisfied with results, but I wasn't. So I had questions, and I didn't want to leave it out there, hoping things will work themselves out. So I mentioned all of this to the urologist, and he was also adamant that the radiation wouldn't cause the drop. Likewise, he said it's not targeting bone marrow as it is beamed directly into the prostate and the prostate only. And he thought that it would be a good idea for me to see a hematologist. I let my primary know, and she did issue a referral. Thankfully, my insurance allows me to self-refer, and I would have if she hadn't put the referral in herself. So I spent the rest of the day that Monday in my head, coming off a battle with prostate cancer. I was thinking about, the big what ifs out there, the low absolute lymphocytes and the low white blood count could be an indicator for a few things, but ruling out most of the things that could be the cause of this, things like HIV, COVID, neither of which I have, or medications that suppress the immune system. And I don't take any medication that would do that. I am left with the possibility of lymphoma. You also throw in my last complete metabolic panel. Both of them showed that my bilirubin was elevated. So that's another indicator that something is off. I didn't have a CMP this last go around. It was just a CBC. Now, as far as lymphoma goes, I'm not claiming it, but I'm just recognizing that it is a real possibility, especially looking at the other causes of what it could be and ruling those out. And it's such a gut punch coming off of a year where I was fighting prostate cancer. So I have an appointment with the hematologist, and we'll see where this goes. Fingers crossed and prayers up. Now, back to my GLP-1 journey. When I last left off, I was at 197.6 with a body fat percentage of 18.7%. Now, during that 2-week period, I had incorporated some fiber supplementation that was crucial in helping me to get past some constipation. I had gone through a 3-week stretch where I was really struggling. So restarting fiber supplementation and switching to a different brand and type of fiber came in clutch for me. Now, when I say a type, I'm referring to switching from a gummy fiber when I was supplementing fiber to a powder fiber that mixes into a drink. However, I did experience a bit of return of the constipation during week 76, but it wasn't anything to the level that I had been experiencing, and it was quickly resolved. So because of the constipation that kind of came on towards the end of week 76, I had an official weigh-in of 200.2, would mean that I officially gained 2.6 pounds from the previous week. My body fat percentage was coming in at 19.2%, which let me know that I was not all the way cleaned out. One thing that I am noticing is that the further I get away from injection day, the more likely it is that I have this experience. In this case, I was weighing in on June 27th. June 26th marked the 10th day, so I took my shot the day before. But before that, I had taken my shot on June 16th. Now, this may be a function of me eating more as I get further away from the injection day, but also I would think that it would be less constipation as the amount of medication in my system decreases over that 10-day window. Anyway, we left out of town on the 27th to celebrate our anniversary in beautiful Sedona. We did some hiking. I saw some beautiful landscape, and we ate some great food. We came back on the morning of June 30th, so the next time I was able to step on a scale was July 1st. And guess what? Despite all the food we enjoyed over the weekend, the traveling and whatnot, the scale read 198.6 with a body fat percentage of 18.9%. Now, I did do a 2-hour hike on Saturday, and I worked out in the hotel gym on Sunday morning, but that is just a matter of me living and sticking to the plan. I also got my workouts in on Tuesday and Thursday as planned, and I didn't have any constipation issues during the week. This is during week 77. I was regular and a few times even made multiple trips during a single day. So the supplementation is working, and that brings me to my official weigh-in on July 4th, the holiday, of course. I tipped the scale at 198.3 pounds, so that is right in line with the 197.6 from 2 weeks ago. Over the 2-week stretch, my weight bounced between 197.5 on the low end to 200.2 on the high end. Across 6 different weigh-ins, my average was 198.6. The scale also put my body fat percentage at 18.8%, so that would put my body fat at 37.3 pounds and my lean mass at 161 pounds. Now, breaking that lean mass down, that is 153 pounds of muscle and 8 pounds of bone. So, dare I say it, might I have finally figured out maintenance and hit my maintenance stride? The right dose, the right dosing schedule, the right workout schedule and intensity, the right supplementation, and the right caloric intake. Now, I'm not going to say it because I don't want to jinx anything just yet, but, there are so many variables and levers to consider on this maintenance journey. So that is just something for you out there that are in maintenance or heading into maintenance to think about those different levers that you have to consider pulling and adjusting as you go on your journey. Now, in summary, I am 198.3 pounds. This represents a loss of 116.8 pounds since starting my GLP-1 journey on January 12th of 2024. I am 6 foot 2 inches, so my BMI is 25.4, down from 40.2. My blood pressure this morning, or the morning of my weigh-in, was 103/63. I am down 159.7 from my highest weight of 358 in 2015, and that represents a loss of 44.6% from my highest point. All in all, I am real excited about the transformation of my body, the definition that I'm gaining. I have veins popping out in my arms, my biceps, my chest, thighs, and calves. I can't remember the last time that was the case, and in some cases, I didn't see my veins at all, regardless of how muscular I was at the time in my younger days. I never would have thought that this would be the case 77 weeks ago. Well, that is my update. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already done so, please go ahead and hit those like and subscribe buttons, and I will see you in the comments. Also, before you go, I did a sit-down interview with Lori over at GLP-1 Journey and Review. I did that last Tuesday, I believe it was, and I believe she's going to be putting it up on her page on Monday, July 7th. So be on the lookout for that, and also hop over and give her a follow.